lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm doing my TBR for January, which will be the first TBR of 2021. So throughout the year of 2021 there is actually going to be a readathon called the Buzzwordathon, which has been kind of hosted primarily by Books and Lala, but this year she's kind of giving it over to the community, and there's like a Goodreads group where each month they have picked a either buzzword or collection of buzzwords, like a theme, and the idea is to try and just read books that have it either in the title, subtitle, or I guess if you were being cheeky, like the author's name. So I am going to attempt to read at least one book every month that will like fulfill one of the criteria for this, and for January the buzzword is dreams or dreaming or things to do with dreams. So I do actually have a book that will fit with that, and that book is Dirty River by Leah, Lakshmi, Piepzna-Samarasinha. Apologies about that, I tried very hard there at the end. So this is a queer femme of colour dreaming her way home, and it is a biography or memoir of Leah, and it's about her time in America, and then she actually runs away to Canada, to Toronto, to find a home within like a queer punk people of colour community, and it's just about sort of her time and her identity and her struggles in general. So this was actually something that was recommended to me by Categories Books, which is an amazing queer bookstore that's up in Edinburgh, and I like get them to send me a book a month. I've given them a lump sum of money and they just kind of send me stuff. So this is one that they picked because I asked for both more Latinx representation and also disability representation, and I believe this one fulfills for both of those. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, so this one looks interesting, and it'd be nice because the rest of my TBR is quite fiction heavy, so it'd be nice to have like a memoir in here, and it looks really good fun. Then what I've done for January and what I'm intending to do for the rest of 2021 is to kind of have a different challenge or mini theme for myself each month. So for January what I've decided to do is go back to some of my past book hauls and see how many of the books that I hauled, you know, 2 years ago, 2+ years ago, do I still have left on my shelf that I haven't read yet. This has been heavily inspired by Books and Lala's Closet Unhaul challenge, which she did quite a few years ago now. I'm a big fan of her channel, as I don't know if you can tell, everything seems to be in this TBR either directly related to or inspired by her. So what she did was she actually watched on camera her old book hauls and then kind of reacted to them. I did attempt to do this actually in my old flat, and I have the footage somewhere. It might have been lost in like a laptop changeover, but honestly it wasn't very interesting because I'd read or unhauled most of them, so I ended up having to go through more than one book haul to get a kind of decent collection together to create an entire TBR. And honestly my memory is pretty good about when I bought certain books, so very few of them were a surprise, which meant that my reactions were fairly mundane. So we've decided to just cut out all the reaction stuff, and I'm just going to give you the 6 books on my TBR that have been, in theory, some of the ones that have been around for the longest that I would like to either get to or unhaul, although I'm not putting that pressure on myself. If I can get to half of them I will be happy. I'm trying to embrace the mood reading a bit more in January. So let's jump in. What have we got? So the first book on my TBR is Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray. This is a sci-fi epic, and it's about a woman who has fallen in love with an artificial intelligence program, and it's about the two of them kind of trying to, it's like a forbidden love story as such in this big sort of sci-fi epic. I'm a huge fan of artificial intelligence to sort of plot lines in general, and I've been really enjoying sci-fi more this year. So this has been, as with all of these on my TBR for ages, it's quite big, which I think is the reason why I haven't read it. It's actually been put onto several different monthly TBRs and kind of appeared on certain readathons over the past few years because I do really want to get to it, but I always kind of chicken out because it's like 500-600 pages. It's a bit of a kind of space epic odyssey as such. So this is going to be the month that I actually read this one, and I'm really psyched for it. The next book is Witchmark, which is by L Polk, and it's the first book in the Kingston cycle, and this is Edwardian England, but it has some form of kind of magic and intrigue in it, and it is focused around sort of the rise of the First World War and sort of that being on the horizon, and I'm not too sure much more than that, but I do love combos of historical fiction and a bit of magic in there as well, so I think this one will be really good, and it is the first of a series, which will be really nice. I think they're both the first of a series, which, to be honest, I don't need to be starting any more series. I really need to be finishing off the other series that I have on the go, but that's not the point to January. January is about getting to these books that have been on my TBR for 2+ years and languishing a little bit, so we're going to try and focus on those two. Then I also have Deep Storm by Lincoln Child. This is about an oil rig that thinks that it might have discovered Atlantis, and there's this like gritty ex-Marines kind of guy who's in charge of everything, and he has to be sent out there to kind of check out what's happening. It sounds like a ridiculous action movie made into book form, and I think it'll be really perfect because work might be a little bit more hectic, so something a bit more fast-paced and fun I think will be a great addition to the January TBR. And the cover looks great, it looks hilarious. I think this is going to be fantastic. I don't normally read books like this, which is a perfect reason to pick it up, because you know me, I love jumping into random genres. Another one that has made its way onto several different TBRs in the past, and I still haven't actually prioritised reading it, and I think I either need to read it or get rid of it, and that is The Book of Fires by Jane Borodale. Borodale, yes, that happens every time. I still haven't removed this sticker. And this is in 1750, and it's about a woman who is working for, or is a servant to a guy who makes fireworks, and then she gets kind of embroiled in a torrid love affair with him, and I think ends up falling pregnant with his child even though he's married. So you've got a weird combination of like the kind of family feud drama stuff, which I'm slightly less interested in, but I'm very interested in the idea of him being a firework maker, and I think that could be really fun. So I'm hoping that that is a big chunk of this story rather than just focusing on the family drama dynamics. But I do like me some historical fiction, and I've been really trying to lean towards historical fiction this year that hasn't just been from either World War II or like Victorian era. I've been trying to go back a bit further, and so far I've pretty much enjoyed everything I've picked up, and it's been nice to sort of really lean into the history side of historical fiction. The next three books are ones that I actually bought in New York 2 years ago for Christmas, so this was the amalgamation of I think of 4 months worth of book hauls is what is kind of left over here. So one of them is a graphic novel, and that is Lazarus volume 1 by Rucker, Lark and Arcus are the only things that are on the front here. I have no idea what this is about. Graphic novels are incredibly cheap in America compared to in the UK, so I just kind of snapped it up. This was only $5, which is absurdly cheap for a graphic novel. Over here they're like 14 or 15 quid. So I know nothing, and I can't really be bothered to read the blurb and find out anything. I think it's going to be good fun. I know it's not a superhero based one, and I quite enjoy it. It looks quite gritty, and I enjoy my graphic novels being a little bit horror-esque, a little bit gritty, thriller-ish. So I think it'll be interesting, and you know, I definitely need to start yet another series. That's always the best idea. Don't have 3 different graphic novel series on the go that I could do with finishing instead. No. This is a smart move. I'm hoping I'll enjoy it anyway. And then the only other non-fiction on this list is The Unfinished Palazzo by Judith Mackerel, and I bought this at the Peggy Guggenheim Museum in New York because this is about Peggy Guggenheim among other women. It is about Peggy Guggenheim was a big kind of patron of the arts. She set up the Guggenheim Museum, but she also, there is another building in Venice rather than in New York that houses a big collection of her artwork, and she lived there for a while, and this is The Unfinished Palazzo. So this book is looking at that building and sort of the various people who've lived in it. So it will also go into, I think it was a socialite directly before her, yeah, a British socialite, and then there was also somebody from like the wealthy aristocracy who lived there kind of previously. So it's looking at the history of Venice, the history of the art world, the history of this individual building, and a couple of like mini biographies thrown in. I think it's gonna be really interesting and fun, and kind of a lovely mishmash blending of different genres, and I can't believe it's been on my shelf for 2 years. This is unacceptable. I really need to read this one, so this is a high priority book as well. And then the last one on this TBR is a classic, and that is Emma by Jane Austen. Now I didn't actually buy this edition in New York because I bought a different kind of edition of classics before I decided these were the ones that I really wanted to collect because I really like the feel of them, but the book itself remains the same. So in the spirit of the challenge of what I'm doing, I'm going to consider this as part of my TBR. So I know very little about Emma in particular. Jane Austen, I've read 2 of her books before, Persuasion and Northanger Abbey. I've enjoyed both of them. I had this on audiobook, which I think will be good, and I know it very recently had either a TV miniseries or a movie adaptation made of it, like very recently in the past kind of year or 2. So I may go and watch that and then check this one out. I think Emma is the wealthiest of Jane Austen's heroines, which could be interesting to read. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong. But yeah, and it'll be good fun. I haven't read a Jane Austen in like good year and a half. So whilst I have read some of her before, she probably would appear on like a classics TBR. If I was doing one this early on in the year, I might do one like later on. But yeah, so because of that, I think this will be really good to jump into. So a slightly shorter TBR compared to what I normally do. I'm trying to give myself more room for mood reading because, like I said, my job, I might be doing some in-house training, which should be really exciting in the new year. I'm not 100% certain what's going to be happening with hours and things, so I want to give myself space so that way, if things are more relaxed than I was expecting, I can try and fit in a few more books, kind of tick off some stuff from some other yearly TBR things going on and things like that. But if it is a little bit manic and hectic, I've got a shorter list to focus on. I'm really trying to prioritize books. So that is this month's TBR. Do let me know in the comments down below if you've heard of any of these and where you think I should start. Also, do let me know in the comments down below if you think this is kind of a fun idea to go back and try and sort of trawl through old content and find ways of forming TBRs. I think I want to try and start cycling through some of the stuff that's been sat there for a while on my TBR, especially now I've had the channel for coming up to 2.5 years. It's a good time to kind of do that. I may bother reacting to them next time if you're really, really psyched about that, but honestly, I kind of remember when I buy all my books, and I'm quite good at remembering what was on various monthly TBRs as well. So given that, none of it's a surprise. It's very just like, oh yeah, I bought that one, and yeah, I bought that one too, and yeah, I bought that one, and yeah, that doesn't make for very exciting content to either film, edit, or presumably watch. So given that we're talking about not very exciting content, I should probably shut up and let you get on with your life. I hope you've had a great holiday season, whatever you've ended up doing. I hope you're staying safe, and I hope you see in the new year, and I wish you a better 2021 than we've all had in 2020. Have a wonderful reading year, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye!